Written by Stephen E. D'Souza and edited by Frank Darabont, Commando 2 being axed was nothing short of a tragedy for anyone who loves movies. I mean, you may like dramas like Shawshank Redemption and action thrillers like Die Hard, but movies like Commando and The Running Man had their own appeal, and it was the sheer implausibility and absurd glory of hypermasculinity that Schwarzenegger's films tend to celebrate. In this video, we will explore why exactly Commando 2 didn't see the light of day, but more importantly, we will go through the entire screenplay of Commando 2. So buckle up, or else John Matrix will throw you off a chopper or use you as a human battering ram to break a window. Did you not get that? Well, you'll know what I mean in just a bit. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, let's begin. Why was there no Commando 2? Well, the simple answer is that Schwarzenegger didn't need to make the film. When the movie was being planned, Schwarzenegger had already embarked on more high-profile film projects. Schwarzenegger's career had already reached great heights with films such as Predator, which propelled him to the status of megastar. Even when he returned to more conventional action roles in films, like Red Heat and The Running Man, their box office numbers didn't match the success of his earlier works. Furthermore, Schwarzenegger's dominance extended beyond the theatrical releases, as his movies found significant success in the home video market. However, the profits generated from these films paled in comparison to the immense worldwide earnings achieved by his larger and more high-concept projects, like the Terminator movies. The Forgotten Screenplay of Commando 2. So, the film replaces the legendary Bennett with a Colombian arms dealer named Nestor Pedrosa, or that's what this script initially wanted you to believe. He was serving his sentence in high security, but of course, the movie couldn't progress with him behind bars, so he broke out of there in what the news anchorwoman described as the most violent and daring prison break in the history of the US. An arms dealer who destroys a prison on his way out? How original. Anyway, if you ignore the obvious puffery, she wasn't really kidding. Mr. Nestor Pedrosa's escape was a chopper and explosion galore, with men dying, bullets grinding, and blood splattering. Oh, and there were missiles doing their thing. With that awesome setup, the script for Commando 2 moved to the equation between John Matrix and his now teenage daughter Jenny. As a child, Jenny was kidnapped and sent to a Latin American dictator in the first movie. Her father saved her, but she had to witness the carnage firsthand while walking out to her freedom. John Matrix's entry is rather interesting in an obnoxious kind of way. He and his daughter were at a music emporium, both looking for their own kind of music, when Brad, a senior student, approached Jenny and invited her to their party. But that's not all he was doing. He offered her every kind of drug that ever existed, more of a pharmaceutical warehouse. He kept it all inside his jacket, so he basically was a walking, talking vending machine of drugs. Matrix realized by now that something was making his daughter uncomfortable. I mean, this guy could smell a helicopter from a mile away, so checking on his daughter was easy peasy. Matrix dragged Brad to the security guards. One of them could be heard talking over a walkie. Better call SWAT. Godzilla's back. But the mall security needed a probable cause to arrest someone, and Brad's dad was a lawyer, so, you know, Matrix does what any sane man would do. He lifts Brad in the air, spins the young boy upside down, and jerks him like a bag of laundry. And just like that, a mountain of drugs forms on the floor. After this not-so-subtle entry, Matrix figures he needs a good job. So this man infiltrates McCarran Defense Industries and lays the place to a waste, which somehow convinces the boss man, McCarran, to give Matrix a job as a security consultant. Had it not been for the script for Commando 2, Matrix would have found himself either dead or in prison. I mean, this guy destroyed his boss's office, injured half the men, and he was just made their boss. Classic Commando. Anyway, Matrix gets arrested at the airport when a consignment explodes, unleashing clouds of some white powder. To his aid comes the extremely beautiful Melinda Taft, a lawyer who works for McCarran. She has him released, and Matrix begins searching for a man named Trent, because Matrix was actually a stand-in for Trent at the airport. Matrix is beginning to realize that something is fishy with McCarran and wants to get to the bottom of the story. And guess what? Matrix takes Melinda along for the Trent hunt. There was intel that Trent might be with a hot date, so the first place Matrix and Melinda go to was a club. And also because Matrix has previously employed a little something called the employee tracking system. So yeah, that's that. Anyway, after a few pages into the screenplay, we find Matrix and Trent on the rooftop, with Trent dangling from the roof and Matrix holding on to him by his tie, which begins to rip as it's a damn tie and not a thick rope. But Matrix thinks the tie is cheap material. Well, this guy was really all bronze and no brains. Anyway, Matrix questions him, threatening to kill him if he doesn't answer straight and quick. And Trent reveals that it was McCarran who's the bad guy and not a patriot, as Matrix wrongly believes. I know people should keep their friends close and enemies closer, but what were you thinking, McCarran? Getting a righteous mass murderer to head your security team while you make as much drugs as China makes electronics? Anyway, McCarran was not going to let the Governator do his thing, was he? So he sets him up, and it's not before long that Matrix finds himself in a courtroom, but he knows he has to escape and fix things, or else everyone, including Melinda and his poor daughter, who gets shot by the way, would be at risk of getting killed. But the courtroom has no exit that's safe apart from a massive window whose glass was so tough that one would probably need a battering ram to break through it. So the commando pulls up a Hulk once again. He takes the corrupt Judge Boyle hostage and flings him across the window, quite literally getting himself a window of opportunity to escape. Subtle? No. But do I want it any other way? Hell no. So Matrix follows the human battering ram and escapes, jumping from one rooftop to another like he was the Batmobile from Batman Begins, and even tries to save Melinda from the car holding her hostage. Oh, I forgot to mention one important detail. It turns out that Melinda had a recorder with herself that, well, recorded McCarran's monologue about his drug trade, thereby self-incriminating him. While McCarran's right-hand man managed to escape with Melinda, Matrix got a hold of the crucial tape. So before taking on his foe, Matrix goes to visit Jenny at the hospital. He's a man on the run, someone who threw a judge out of a window and killed many people, but somehow the precinct thought it would be too much to spare a cop outside the ward of this dangerous man's daughter. Priceless. Next mission? Saving Melinda from a gauntlet of death straight from the late 80s. This place had all kinds of booby traps, from motion sensor lasers to lethal gas emissions, and it had all been planned by Matrix. So he kinda did have an advantage there, but it also meant that the booby traps were nearly impossible to go around. But hey, you can always use a mirror and a janitor's cart to build yourself a state-of-the-art laser reflecting machine, right? And it's not before long that Matrix manages to kill Gunther by shooting an anti-tank weapon at him. A sweet send-off, but this was just the beginning of the end. He has to climb to the rooftop through the stairs, which have lethal gas in the air. Somehow, he reaches the destination and latches onto the helicopter carrying Melinda and McCarran, while another helicopter was trying to eliminate him. Matrix grabs McCarran and flings him out. He crashes into the propellers of the other helicopter. Now that McCarran is dead, should the screenplay end? Well, no. There's a second traitor. Well, it's Major General Franklin Kirby from the first movie. Apparently, Kirby, the grade A patriot, had fallen from grace and wanted John Matrix to join him in the illegal activities. Clearly, Kirby had a major case of amnesia because the last time someone messed with the Matrix, the mass-murdering moral crusader took on an entire army, and he did it single-handedly. Oh, you poor man, Major Kirby, I pity your fate. With his woman taken by his former boss, Matrix loses his calm and swears vengeance. So, one plane hijack, one parachute landing, and one fake wedding later, Matrix finds himself in the cocaine plantation of Mr. Pedrosa. Yes, the one who made the most daring and violent prison break in the history of the US. Located in the Costa Rican highlands, he finds himself confronting Pedrosa's heavily armed men. And yes, Matrix was dressed as a bride, a 7-foot bride with the build of a raging bull. From this point onwards, Matrix fights an army of hired guns, most of them working for Pedrosa and a few others working for Kirby. It gets all Old Testament from here. Blood, bones, and iron. Much like the original film, Matrix leaves no stone unturned to showcase his hypermasculinity and the will to destroy everything in his way to save what he holds dear. He doesn't care about the cost or the number of bodies he's piling up. Someone took his girlfriend and he wants her back, period. I can't stress enough why Kirby got involved in the first place. I believe that's the biggest plot hole of the movie, a gaping pit deeper than the one Batman was thrown into in Dark Knight Rises. And while Batman managed to get out of it, the movie will forever remain there. Anyway, after a stupidly enormous amount of carnage, Matrix finally wins and eliminates the bad guys. He walks over flames to help his future girlfriend stand on her feet, and everyone lives happily ever after, I guess. Marvelous verdict. In conclusion, the absence of Bennett was sorely felt in Commando 2, which hindered its potential to achieve the same cult status as the original film. However, the movie delivered on the expectations of fans by offering an abundance of exaggerated action, implausible plot twists, and a cast of familiar archetypal characters destined for peril, accompanied by a plethora of irresistible one-liners. Remarkably, Commando 2 remained faithful to the formula of its predecessor, showcasing its commitment to maintaining the established style rather than embarking on innovative sequel-making endeavors. Despite the unexpectedness of Kirby's portrayal as a villain and the occasional lack of depth, his character added an intriguing dimension to the narrative. As a conflicted patriot compelled to take action during a period of government scandal and hypocrisy, Kirby's role reflected real-life events, albeit perhaps with some alterations. Looking ahead, one can't help but sympathize with Jenny and hope for her and Melinda's escape from Matrix and his reputation as both a harbinger and a perpetrator of death. While Matrix may express a desire to renounce his lifetime of lethal combat and offer promises of change, the inherent inclination towards killing runs deep within him, fueling his very existence. Overall, Command 2 satisfied the desire for a bigger and louder sequel, delivering a screenplay crafted by D'Souza that offers moments to savor for fans of the franchise. Oh, and lastly, anyone who tells you that Commando 2 was refurbished as Die Hard 1, tell them that it's nothing more than a rumor, and the issue was clarified by D'Souza himself. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.